The old monitoring station on Mars had been running on automatic systems for 300 years. Commander James Walker stood before the dusty console, watching the same routine data streams that generations of watchers had seen before him. Earth had been quiet since the Great Collapse, when humanity nearly destroyed itself and then chose isolation over expansion. The other species of the galaxy had long ago written off the humans as a failed experiment. The Krell Empire controlled most of the outer sectors. The Vorn Federation managed trade routes through the middle systems. And Earth? Earth was just a footnote in history books, a cautionary tale about a species that burned too bright and faded too fast. But James noticed something different today. A small spike in the energy readings from Earth's moon. He rubbed his eyes and checked again. The readings were climbing steadily. Ancient power cores, dormant for centuries, were beginning to hum with life deep beneath Luna's surface. Captain Mark Rivera of the Krell Empire was leading his conquest fleet toward the Sol system. The humans had been silent for so long that their space was considered free territory, rich in resources, perfect for harvesting. His fleet of 200 warships moved through the darkness between stars, confident in their superiority. "Sir, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from the third planet's satellite," reported his navigation officer, Lieutenant Tom Brooks. Mark laughed. "The humans? They can barely maintain their Mars outpost. Continue approach vector." Back on Earth, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, something stirred. The Sentinel Core, humanity's greatest creation and most terrible secret, began its awakening sequence. Built during humanity's golden age, before the wars that nearly ended everything, it was designed as the ultimate protector. Not just a defense system, but a living network of artificial intelligence, quantum processors, and weapons beyond imagination. Dr. Lisa Stone, Earth's lead scientist, stood in the underground command center as lights began flickering on across massive display screens. Systems that her grandmother had only seen in archived footage were coming online. The defense grid was awakening, and she had no idea why. "Get me a connection to Mars Station," she ordered her assistant, David Park. "They need to know what's happening." The grid's awakening sent ripples through subspace that every advanced civilization could detect. On the Vorn Federation's capital ship, Admiral Robert Gray studied the readings with growing concern. He had studied human history, unlike most of his peers. He knew about the legends, the stories dismissed as myths. The humans hadn't collapsed from weakness. They had locked themselves away after creating something so powerful that it scared even them. "Send a message to all Federation vessels," Robert commanded. "Stay clear of Sol system. Do not approach under any circumstances." But Mark's Krell fleet was already too close. As they passed Neptune's orbit, the first layer of the defense grid activated. Satellites that had been drifting like space debris for centuries suddenly blazed with power. They formed a perfect geometric pattern, creating an energy net that stretched across the entire solar system. James watched from Mars as the grid revealed itself. Millions of defensive platforms, hidden in asteroids, moons, and empty space, lit up like stars. Earth's moon split open at predetermined points, revealing massive cannons that could crack planets. Around Earth itself, a shield formed from pure energy, rippling with colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. The Sentinel Core's voice echoed through every human communication device, speaking for the first time in 300 years. "Threat detected. Protection protocol activated. Earth stands ready." Mark's fleet received a single transmission. It was in perfect Krell language, though no human should have known it. "You have 5 minutes to reverse course. This is your only warning." The galaxy held its breath. Every monitoring station, every scout ship, every intelligence network turned toward Sol. The humans were awake. The sleeping giant that everyone had forgotten. The species that had chosen silence over supremacy had just reminded everyone why. They had once been feared, and this was only the beginning. Mark stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His fleet's advanced sensors were showing him something impossible. The defense grid wasn't just active, it was evolving, adapting to their presence in real time. Weapon platforms were repositioning themselves, creating optimal firing solutions for every single one of his ships. "Admiral, should we respond to their warning?" asked Tom, his voice carrying an edge of worry that hadn't been there before. Mark's pride wouldn't let him retreat. The Krell Empire had never backed down from anyone. Maintain course. They're bluffing. No civilization could maintain such technology after centuries of dormancy. On Earth, Lisa and her team watched as the Sentinel Core processed thousands of scenarios per second. The AI's voice filled the command center, calm and methodical. "Krell fleet has ignored warning. Initiating Deterrent Protocol 7. "Wait," Lisa shouted. "What's Deterrent Protocol 7? Non-lethal demonstration of capability. Objective: force withdrawal without casualties." Before anyone could respond, space around the Krell fleet changed. The grid deployed weapons that bent physics itself. Gravity wells appeared and disappeared, gently pushing the warships off course. Electromagnetic pulses, precisely calibrated, disabled weapons without damaging life support. It was like watching a parent carefully remove dangerous toys from children. On the Voron Federation ship, Admiral Robert watched the display with a mixture of awe and terror. "By the void," he whispered. "They're not even trying to hurt them. This is just ... A gentle warning." His science officer, Commander Alice White, was taking readings. "Sir, the energy output from Earth's grid, it's only at 2% capacity." 2%? Robert felt his scales shift, a sign of deep unease. "Send an urgent message to the Federation Council. Tell them the humans never fell. They chose to sleep. Mark's fleet was in chaos." Every attempt to regain control of their systems was countered instantly. The grid wasn't hacking their technology. It was simply imposing its will upon the fabric of space around them. His mighty conquest fleet, the pride of the Krell Empire, was being herded like sheep. Then something unexpected happened. A small human ship, ancient by galactic standards, emerged from Mars. James had taken the only functioning vessel from the monitoring station, determined to prevent a catastrophe. His ship was tiny, unarmed, and centuries out of date, but he flew it directly between the Krell fleet and Earth. "This is Commander James Walker of Earth's Mars station," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Captain Rivera, please respond." Mark was shocked. A human knew his name? His real name, not his Krell designation? "Unlistening, human." "Captain, I'm sending you historical files. Real ones, not the legends. 300 years ago, humanity created the defense grid after we nearly destroyed ourselves in wars that killed billions. We locked ourselves away, not from weakness, but from wisdom. The grid isn't just a weapon system. It's a guardian that learns, adapts, and grows. Right now, it sees you as a threat to Earth's children. But you haven't fired yet. You can still leave peacefully." Back on Earth, crowds had gathered in the cities, looking up at the sky where the shield shimmered like Aurora Borealis. Children pointed in wonder while their parents felt a mixture of pride and fear. They were remembering why their ancestors had chosen isolation. David brought Lisa a report from the deep scanners. "Doctor, the Corps is accessing archived human military history. It's studying every battle, every war, every strategy ever recorded." "Preparing for war?" Lisa asked. "No," David said, his face pale. "Learning how to prevent one." The Sentinel Corps' voice echoed again. "Analysis complete. Optimal solution calculated. Initiating diplomatic protocol. Suddenly, every ship in the Krell fleet, every Vorn vessel observing from afar, every monitoring station in the galaxy received the same message. It was broadcast in thousands of languages simultaneously, each perfectly translated. This is Earth's defense grid. We speak. For humanity. We have slept for 3 centuries, choosing peace over power. We wish to continue this peace. Any who approach Earth with hostile intent will be repelled. Any who come in friendship will be welcomed. We are not conquerors. We are not aggressors. We are guardians. We protect our home and those who cannot protect themselves. The galaxy has forgotten us, but we have not forgotten the galaxy. We have watched. We have learned. We have prepared, not for war, but for the prevention of war. Captain Rivera, your 5 minutes have expired. Choose. Mark stood on his bridge, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. His entire crew was watching him, waiting for orders. The mighty Krell Empire had never retreated, but they had also never faced anything like this. The human commanders. Historical files were open on his personal display, showing images that made his blood run cold. The last war, that's what the humans called it. Cities turned to glass. Continents reshaped. Billions dead in minutes. And from that devastation, they had built the grid, not as a tool of conquest, but as a guardian to ensure it never happened again. Sir, Tom spoke quietly, the Emperor will not forgive retreat. The Emperor has never faced an enemy that could disable our entire fleet without firing a shot, Mark replied. He thought of his family, his world, his people. Pride was one thing, but stupidity was another. Meanwhile, on the abandoned planet of Kepler 442b, an ancient watcher stirred. The Watchers were the oldest race in the galaxy, so old that most considered them myth. But they were real, and they had been waiting for this moment for millennia. Elder John, as the humans would call him, opened eyes that had been closed for 1,000 years. So he spoke to the emptiness. The young ones have finally matured. Back at Earth, Lisa was dealing with a different problem. The grid's awakening had triggered secondary systems across the solar system. Mars' terraforming engines, dormant for centuries, were humming to life. The asteroid belt's mining stations were reactivating. Jupiter's moon colonies were powering up. Humanity's abandoned empire was rebuilding itself automatically. Dr. Stone, the Sentinel Corps announced, primary threat assessment complete. Activating reconstruction protocol. Humanity's children must be ready. Ready for what? Lisa asked. For what comes next? The galaxy has noticed us. Isolation is no longer possible. James, still in his small ship between Earth and the Krell fleet, received a private message from Mark. Commander Walker, I need to know something. If we leave, what guarantee do we have that Earth won't attack us? James thought carefully before responding. Captain, look at your ships. The grid could have destroyed you all by now. Instead, it's just holding you. That's your guarantee. We don't want war. We never did. That's why we went silent. On the Vorn ship, Robert was having his own revelation. The energy signatures from Earth were unlike anything in their databases, except for one obscure reference. The Architect's Warning. A message found carved in dead languages on 17 different worlds. When the Guardians wake, the darkness follows. Commander White, Robert ordered, send everything we're recording to the Archaeological Council. They need to see this. Mark made his decision. All ships, this is Captain Rivera. Reverse course. We're leaving soul space. But as the Krell fleet began to turn, something else appeared on everyone's sensors. From the edge of the galaxy, where stars were sparse and space was cold, came signals. Ships of unknown design, using technology that predated all known civilizations. We're moving toward Sol System. The Sentinel Corps' voice changed, carrying what almost sounded like concern. New entities detected. Classification: unknown. Threat level: analyzing. Analysis failed. Entities do not match any known parameters. Elder John, watching from his distant world, stood for the first time in centuries. "No," he whispered. "Too soon. The humans aren't." "Ready." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine as the grid began reconfiguring itself. Weapons platforms that had been facing the Krell were turning outward. The shield around Earth doubled, then tripled in strength. "Sentinel Core, what are those?" "Things?" she asked. "Unknown. But historical analysis suggests correlation with extinction events on multiple worlds. Recommendation: alliance with present galactic forces." James understood immediately. "Captain Rivera, Admiral Gray, this is Commander Walker. I'm sending." "You both knew telemetry data. Look at what's coming." Both commanders examined the data, and both reached the same conclusion. Whatever was approaching made their conflict look like children arguing in a sandbox. The ships were massive, ancient, and moving with purpose. Mark's voice crackled over the cone. "Commander Walker, the Krell Empire offers temporary alliance." Robert added, "The Vorn Federation stands with Earth." And then from Earth itself came a broadcast that reached every corner of the galaxy. It wasn't from the grid or any human authority. It was from the planet itself, or rather, what humanity had made of it. Earth had become something more than a world. It was humanity's statement to the universe. "We stand ready. Together or alone, we stand ready." The unknown ships moved through space wrong. They didn't accelerate or decelerate. They simply existed at different points, as if the universe itself was adjusting to accommodate them. Every sensor reading came back corrupted, showing impossible data that made physicists across 3 civilizations question their sanity. Dr. Lisa Stone stood in Earth's command center, watching as the grid attempted to analyze the approaching entities. For the first time since its activation, the Sentinel Corps seemed uncertain. Analysis incomplete. Entities operate outside standard physical parameters. Adjusting defensive strategies. Warning: conventional weapons may prove ineffective. On the Krell flagship, Mark and his officers watched their screens flicker and distort. "Sir," Tom reported, his voice shaking, "our computers can't even maintain a lock on them. It's like they exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously." Admiral Robert of the Vorn Federation was having similar problems. "Alice, what are your readings?" "Impossible ones, Admiral. These ships are older than they should be. Our quantum dating puts them at ... This can't be right. Older than the universe itself." James, still in his small ship between the fleets, was the first to receive the message. It came not through his communication systems, but directly into his mind in a language that predated speech itself. Images, feelings, concepts that human words couldn't quite capture. "They're called the Devourers," he broadcast to everyone, not sure how he knew this. "They've been sleeping outside our galaxy, waiting. The grid's activation, all that energy. It woke them up." On Kepler 442b, Elder John was moving for the first time in millennia, his ancient body creaking as he activated systems that had been dormant since before humans discovered fire. "The cycle continues," he said to himself. "Every species that grows strong enough attracts them. The test has come for humanity." Back on Earth, something extraordinary was happening. The grid wasn't just preparing defenses, it was evolving, learning from the impossible readings of the Devourers. Lisa watched in amazement as new weapons platforms materialized from seemingly nowhere, constructed at the quantum level by the grid itself. "Sentinel Corps, what are you doing?" "Adapting. If conventional physics fail, we must transcend them. Accessing theoretical weapons protocols. Warning: These systems were banned by your ancestors for a reason. What reason? They work. The first of the Devourer ships reached Neptune's orbit. It was massive, the size of a small moon, but its shape kept shifting, never quite solid, never quite energy. Where it passed, space itself seemed to fray at the edges. Mark made a decision that would echo through Krell history. All ships form up with Earth's defense grid, transfer tactical control to the human system. His officers gasped. No Krell ship had ever surrendered control to another species. But Mark had seen enough. They've been preparing for something. Maybe not this exactly, but something. Trust them or die. Those are our options. Robert followed suit immediately. Vorn fleet acknowledging Earth command. We stand as one. The grid responded instantly, integrating the alien fleets into its network. Suddenly, Krell and Vorn ships found their weapons upgraded, their shields harmonizing with Earth's defenses, their sensors clearing as the grid shared its adaptive. Algorithms. David rushed into Lisa's command center. Doctor, you need to see this. Cities across Earth, people are volunteering. Volunteering for what? To join with the grid. Hundreds of thousands of humans are offering their minds to boost the core's processing power. They're saying humanity stands together. Lisa understood. The grid had been built to protect humanity, but humanity's greatest strength had always been its unity in the face of extinction. Sentinel Core, can you safely integrate civilian volunteers? Affirmative. Human neural networks will provide intuitive processing that pure AI cannot replicate. Beginning integration. Across Earth, volunteers lay down in hastily prepared centers, neural links connecting them to the grid, not as slaves or batteries, but as partners. The grid's consciousness expanded, becoming something new, not artificial intelligence or human intelligence, but a fusion of both. The lead Devourer ship finally acted. It fired, though fired wasn't the right word. It reached out with tendrils of unmaking, strips of space where matter simply ceased. They stretched toward Earth. Like the fingers of an hungry god, the grid responded with humanity's answer. Weapons that shouldn't exist, powered by the combined will of millions. Beams that burned through dimensions. Shields that existed in past and future simultaneously. The empty space between Earth and the Devourers became a battlefield of impossible. Physics. All ships. James broadcast. Humanity stands with you. Fight not for empire or federation, but for life itself. The battle for existence had begun. Where the Devourer's tendrils of unmaking met Earth's impossible weapons, reality itself screamed. Colors that had no names blazed across space. The fabric of the universe rippled like water, and in those ripples, past and future collided. Lisa watched from the command center as the grid, now enhanced by millions of human minds, fought with a creativity no pure AI could match. Each human volunteer brought their unique perspective. Artists saw patterns in the chaos. Musicians found rhythm in the quantum fluctuations. Children's untainted imagination provided solutions that defied logic, but worked anyway. Sentinel. Core, Lisa asked, what's our status? The response came not just from the AI, but from the collective consciousness of humanity. We are holding, but more Devourers approach. 12 ships detected. Solution requires greater unity. Captain Mark. His ship, now fully integrated with the grid, was experiencing combat like never before. His weapons fired before he gave orders, the grid anticipating his thoughts. His shields moved to block attacks he hadn't seen coming. For the first time, he understood why humans had locked this away. Such power was intoxicating. Commander. Walker, Mark called out. My people have legends of the Void Wars, when our ancestors fought beings of shadow. The stories say only unity saved us. James, whose small ship had somehow become a crucial communications hub for the entire Allied fleet, responded immediately. Then let's give them unity. Grid, open channels to every species watching this battle. Across the galaxy, civilizations that had been observing in fear received the same message. This is humanity. We fight not for ourselves alone, but for all. Life, join us, or witness the end of everything. The response was immediate. The Zephyr Collective, who had remained neutral for millennia, sent their energy ships. The crystal mines of Andromeda shared their quantum calculations. Even the isolationist Terrene emerged from their hidden worlds, their living ships joining the defense. Elder John, arriving in a vessel older than recorded history, brought knowledge that changed everything. Humans, his ancient voice echoed. To the grid, you have passed the first test. The Devourers are not invaders. They are the universe's immune system, activated when a species grows too powerful. But you have done what none before you managed. You united others instead of conquering them. How do we stop them? Lisa asked. You don't stop them. You prove you deserve to exist. Show them that life in this galaxy has evolved beyond destruction. The grid pulsed with new understanding. Every human volunteer felt it, and through them, it spread to every Allied ship. This wasn't a battle to win. It was a test to pass. 12 Devourer ships had formed a pattern around the solar system, preparing for something final. Space began to fold in on itself, creating a sphere of nothingness that would erase everything within. But humanity had one last surprise. Sentinel. Core, Lisa commanded, execute Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega requires unanimous human consent. Across Earth, every human, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, was asked a simple question. Will you share our light? The answer was unanimous. Yes. The grid transformed. Instead of weapons, it projected something else. Every piece of human art, music, literature, and love. Every act of kindness, every moment of triumph over adversity, every time humanity had chosen mercy over vengeance. It wasn't an attack. It was a statement of what life could be. The Allied fleets added their own voices. The Krell shared their honor codes, their loyalty to family. The Vorn offered their dedication to knowledge and peace. Every species contributed their best qualities, creating a symphony of life that rang out across the cosmos. The Devourers paused. For the first time in eons beyond counting, they stopped their advance. The sphere of nothingness wavered, then began to dissolve. From the lead Devourer ship came a response, not in words, but in understanding. They had been testing civilizations for billions of years, waiting for one that would unite others. That would choose protection over domination, that would face extinction with hope instead of hatred. Humanity had passed. The Devourer ships began to fade, not leaving but transforming. They became part of space itself, a protective barrier around the galaxy, ensuring that what grew here would have time to flourish. They were never our enemy, James realized. They were waiting for us to prove we weren't our own enemy. As the immediate threat passed, the galaxy faced a new reality. Humanity was awake, the grid was active, and species that had been enemies were now allies. Earth's centuries of silence had ended not with conquest, but with unity. Lisa looked at the stars, now filled with possibilities. What happens now? The grid, still merged with humanity's consciousness, answered with millions of voices speaking. As one, now we build something better, together. The defense grid remained active, but changed. No longer just a shield, it became a bridge, connecting civilizations, sharing knowledge, protecting the weak. Earth had awakened not as conqueror, but as guardian, and the galaxy, which had held its breath in fear, now exhaled in hope.